Welcome! This short video will share selections of ceramic works by Beatrice Wood, featured in the permanent collection of the Beatrice Wood Center for the Arts. Beatrice Wood is perhaps best known for her work with luster glazes, represented by this detail of a small plate in the collection. Her work in luster represents only one aspect of her work in ceramic, and she also created two-dimensional works throughout her life, but the luster glazes were an area that she excelled in, the result of a great passion and lifelong pursuit. Our pursuit of lusters dates back to Mesopotamia and ancient Egypt, and they were of great interest to the alchemists. Alchemy was the medieval forerunner of chemistry, based on the supposed transformation of matter. It was concerned particularly with attempts to convert base metals into gold, or to find a universal elixir through what might be viewed as a magical process of creation and transformation. Alchemists attempted to purify, mature, and perfect certain materials, for instance, to create gold through processing a combination of other materials. Alchemy was also concerned with the perfection of the human body and the soul. In this way, Beatrice Wood's pursuit of luster glazes can be placed within the context of her study of theosophy, particularly as it began with the purchase of a set of luster plates in Holland, while on a trip to spend time with J. Krishnamurti. As mentioned, this particular luster glaze is on a small plate in the center's permanent collection that has a matching teacup. One of the pursuits of the designer craftsman movement and the American craft movement, with Beatrice Wood having been part of both, was creating functional items that artfully transcended their purpose, therefore elevating daily life. Alchemists experimented with various base metals and processes for turning them into gold, and indeed metal oxides are central to the process of creating luster glazes. The effect is achieved through the right combination of materials and the process of reduction firing the works in the kiln. This cylindrical vessel is an example of a copper luster glaze. In an oxidation firing, the work would have been green rather than red, just as copper on buildings or in public sculptures turn green over time due to the exposure to oxygen. With the reduction firing, certain materials are added to the atmosphere of the kiln, with the oxygen cut off. Of course, the process is quite complicated, and even at over 100 years of age, it remained a fascinating pursuit for Beatrice Wood. The abstract figurative element in this work adds further mystery to it. Beatrice Wood studied art at the Académie Julian in Giverny, France, where she spied on Monet painting in his garden. She was close friends with numerous modern artists, from Marcel Duchamp to Constantine Brancusi, and explored both abstraction and the figurative as an artist dating back to her involvement with the New York Dada movement in 1917. When the copper luster glaze did not completely mature, it would fire to a beautiful blue color. In the case of this bowl, the lustered areas have a copper sheen to them, while the areas that did not completely mature into a luster have a duller blue color. The result is stunningly beautiful. The work also makes clear how challenging lusters can be, as subtle differences existed to make some areas luster and others not. They could simply be a slight difference in the thickness of the glaze, or the way the smoke that results from the process swirled around the work while it was being fired. Beatrice Wood explored certain forms more often than others, and the chalice was one of her favorites. 3 of Beatrice Wood's dealers, Garth Clark, Frank Lloyd, and Francis Naumann, were involved in selecting the works to be part of the permanent collection after her passing. It is obvious why this stunning work was selected, because indeed, for Beatrice Wood to create, or for a collector to find such a work, would be very much like the search for the Holy Grail. In person, this work has a purple hue that dances over the golden surface as you walk around it. This is one of the aspects of luster glazes that can create a magical or mystical experience. While Beatrice Wood usually used a single luster glaze to cover a vessel, at times she created patterns and designs using different glazes, as is the case with this figured bowl. From the beginning of her exploration of ceramics, Beatrice Wood created sculpture, and this work was created in the 1940s. Though her study of pottery with Glenn Lukens and Otto and Gertrude Natzler made working on the potter's wheel and experimenting with glazes central to her ceramic practice, throughout her career she often mounted smaller sculptural works on rocks, crystals, or other natural materials. While she is often referred to as a potter, it would be more fitting to describe Beatrice Wood as an artist who explored pottery and ceramic as a sculptural and pictorial medium. This work from 1970, reminiscent of the work of Marc Chagall, features two figures attached to a crystal. Beatrice Wood mentions attending exhibitions of Chagall's work in 1931 and 1941, though it's not clear if they ever crossed paths personally. Certainly, the romanticism and spirituality of Chagall's work would have appealed to her. This work from 1991 is an excellent example of how Beatrice Wood's love of folk and naive art influenced her work. This aspect of her work horrified many ceramicists who pursued a perfection of traditional Asian techniques and led some to question her pursuit of craftsmanship. The fact is, the impact of learning from Otto and Gertrude Natzler, as well as her friends Otto and Vivica Oheno, led to Wood becoming quite astute in both working on the wheel and with glaze formulation. However, in both of these pursuits, she became increasingly looser in her work, experimenting and breathing humanity and character into works through favoring the evidence of the hand and heart over perfection. She referred to her sculptural works as intentionally unschooled, sophisticated primitives. Decoy, created in 1948, is an excellent example of Beatrice Wood's embrace of naughtiness in sharing the complex relationships between men and women. This was the subject of countless works. Created in 1968, this work is an excellent example of how Beatrice Wood often combined her two-dimensional work and exploration of ceramics. It features luster glazes along with mason stains, which allowed her to use line and brush strokes in a manner similar to watercolor or gouache. The works in the short video presentation represent only a sampling of the works in the Beatrice Wood Center for the Arts permanent collection. Beatrice Wood is included in every major encyclopedia museum collection, often in depth, with at least one work normally on display. We highly recommend that you explore the number of works that can be viewed online in conjunction with these museum collections. Thank you for your interest in Beatrice Wood and the Beatrice Wood Center for the Arts. We hope that you are able to visit us in the future.